Hello everybody, we're back again. Okay, I've set the fuel tank back in. I ran the lines through this little hole here. I made sure the handle, there's 2 pins in here. You make sure that the handle is inside the pins, which wasn't too bad. And we'll walk around here. Then we made sure I put one end of the flapper, this bottom flapper here, as I was talking about before, in case you want to use a leaf bagger on this, which God knows where that could be anymore. And what I did was I set the cover on, made sure that the pin in this flapper was in the bottom. Now it's in the top, and we're on our way back to putting it back together again. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick the gas cap back on. That'll keep the casing from coming apart again, because we're going to have to turn this upside down to put the screws back in. Let me put the camera back in the holder here. Sorry about that. See if I can do this without turning the camera off. Yeah. Okay, let me back this up here. Then we're going to squeeze this together. We're going to click this in. Now that we click this in and we put the cap back on, we could still hold on to it pretty good. And we're going to flip it back over, and hopefully we're not going to split the case back apart. When we start putting our screws back in, it seems to be together good. Here, what I did off camera is I replaced the primer bulb here. And what you do is you just take this cover off, and there's 2 pieces to this. There's this plate that holds the bulb on, and then there's this other spot here for the outlet, where your outlet hose goes back on from the fuel tank. I always put my fingers on here and hold it together. Unfortunately, when I took this off and I took the old primer bulb off, a little dirt looked like it was in there. I just sprayed it with brake clean. Hopefully nothing will get inside the carburetor. So we'll go ahead, I'll put the screws back in it, and we'll get it back together. I'll pop the carburetor on. Another thing I want to point out is when your fuel lines are sticking out like they are before you put the carburetor on, don't do any snipping of the fuel lines yet to make them fit correctly. Because if you cut them too short, then you have a big problem. It's better that you wait and snip your lines after you've had this whole thing together and you're going to place the carburetor on. Okay, we got our side cover back on. The whole thing's together. In case you're curious to know, there's 10 bolts that are holding that, 10 screws or bolts holding the casing together. Before I took the muffler off, this piece here came out. This piece has to go into the exhaust here, into the exhaust port. And then we're going to put our gasket back on here, like so. Maybe like so. Yep, looks like that. So we're going to stick our muffler back on. I'm sure my arm's in the way. Yeah. It's a little tricky, but not too bad. So I'll make sure your gasket doesn't move. Start one of these. Yeah. Get one started. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, I can see that the gasket's okay. So then we're going to tighten this up here. Muffler. That all tightened up. Now you go ahead and put the muffler cover back on. This has like a couple of clips here. So you just kind of just stick it in there and fold it up like so. Is that the right size? No. It's a little Torx. Looks like it's going to start raining pretty hard again. I'll try to get this back together and put all the tools away and everything. We are going to try to start it though. And then we can flip it back over here and put our exhaust intake manifold back on. You know what I should have did? As I told you before, no, that's good. We're good. Okay. Yeah, you want to do that after you put the casing on, screw all the bolts down. And, oh, look at this. This was probably at a yard sale for 25 bucks. It didn't run. That's probably why I ended up out at the curb. Okay. I'm sure I wouldn't want to buy it if I didn't see it run. Sometimes if the fuel lines are identical size, which a lot of machines are, what you want to do is take your Sharpie and just mark one of the lines that you know that this is the one with the filter on it, the main line, or vice versa, however you want to do it. It's fine. But, I mean, if you mix them up, you kind of know it already when you go to prime it. But, okay, now we got this carburetor here. Instead of, a lot of them used to use just gaskets here, but this has O-rings. It's the O-ring style, so you don't have to worry about a gasket. Okay. So first thing you're going to want to do before you mount this cover goes over everything. So what you want to do is, well, what I normally do is I just set the carburetor down to where it's supposed to go. You stick a couple of bolts in there. These long carburetor bolts, gotta be real careful. Like I usually work it back and forth to make sure it goes in easy, because I've stripped them before. Yeah, that's. Now this small fuel line, if I remember correctly, is gonna be a real pain to get on there. So just snip it to where you want to. You can leave extra as long as it doesn't kink. And then you got this other line here, the bigger line that goes up to the primer. Snip that. Kind of snipped it too long. You can always shove it down in here a little bit if you have too much. Always leave a little extra if you can, in case you do have to snip a piece off over the years. Sometimes they go bad right here, whatever. So now we're going to take the carburetor back off. See how hard this is going to be. Okay, we're going to take our golf tee and we're going to try to open that hose up a little bit. Can you even see what I'm doing? Sort of. Well, you get the idea. Ram it on there as far as you think you have to go to get the line back on there. Carburetor. Yeah, it makes a world of difference doing that with the golf tee. I got it on there pretty far. It's never going to come off. This one will slide right on because it was made to the size it's supposed to be in the first place. Yeah. Okay. Now we're ready to put this cover on, put the bolts in. We're going to put some gas in it and see if it'll prime. You gotta throttle it up a little bit and push the choke up a little bit and then line it up here. And then you can stick your bolts through here. That wasn't good. You know why? I'm using the wrong. I should be using the Allen instead of the Torx, so I slipped on the bolt, screw, yeah, whatever. Okay, that's tight. Okay, we're gonna gas it up, see if it'll prime. You know, we'll try to start it. Sometimes I'm asked on different machines that I'm working on, is it a two-stroke? Yes, this is a two-stroke. In case you need to know, I should always tell you what I'm working on. That's why I've said in many videos, I have a two-stroke mixture in a bottle. It's from a Lucas additive bottle, and I use that to especially prime two-stroke engines, but you could use it to prime four-cycle engines also. The oil and the gas won't hurt anything. We'll put our cap back on and see if it'll prime. And it's priming. Alright. We don't want to flood it. I'm going to try to give it a start. It's a good sign that it's priming, because if it wasn't, as I said before, then you have a problem inside the carburetor, whether the needle and seats closed and not opening, or some kind of other blockage it could have. It could be a number of things. I guess I could kind of keep you where you were. I'll turn the machine around, I'll pull it the other way. Okay, we're going to try it on choke. Around half throttle. Always warm up your two-stroke before you throttle it up to full throttle. That's a good sign. Try half choke. Sometimes it takes a little while for all the air to get out of the fuel lines and everything. And like I said before, sometimes it's something wrong with the carburetor. thinking the carburetor's got a problem. Yeah. I'm going to try to richen up the high side. Let me try it just to see. try to turn it a little bit. I don't have the right tool to do this, and I notched out the screws so I could use a flathead screwdriver, but I kind of messed up the cut. It's not cut right. Guess we'll try it full choke, half throttle. See what... Yeah, it's... Dirt probably got in here from the primer bulb being broken. Okay, it had obviously had some dirt in the carburetor. What I was doing, what you saw me doing, was once I had it running, I kept on choking it. Choke off, choke on, choke off, choke on. Sometimes that loosens up all the crap in the carburetor, and it'll just start running better. I think this one's going to be okay. We'll try to start it up one more time. Oh, by the way, these don't have a kill switch. What shuts this off is it cuts off the fuel supply when you push this lever, the throttle lever, all the way down on here. So, never, you know, it'll never start if you don't throttle it up quarter of a way or whatever. It'll never start. Just to keep that in mind. I'm just going to let it run like that, and I'll see what happens with it. I'll let it run for about 20 minutes. Thanks for watching, everybody.